Long lost hip hop albums. These are albums that have been teased infamously, hinted at, albums that rappers have even begun to roll out and promote and talk about, and then they just kind of scrap it and then maybe come back to it again, but for one reason or another, they're just never fully confident with the album to release it. A lot of times, these sort of albums gain more notoriety than rappers' full-on projects that they release. There's just this mystical factor around these albums that never come out that just build up this crazy hype. I handpicked a couple of albums that I thought have some really interesting backstories behind them, and I think we can sift through exactly why these albums haven't come out, everything we know about these albums, and then we can speculate a little bit. Are these albums possibly going to come out one day? So let's get into it. Dr. Dre's Detox, potentially one of the most anticipated albums of all time. This has been 20 years anticipating this album. After his blockbuster 1999 album 2001, Dr. Dre spent a lot of the 2000s producing other artists, but along the way, he also was supposedly working on his third solo album, Detox. Various release dates floating around in the late aughts, and every now and then someone who wasn't Dr. Dre would show up in the news claiming Detox was finished. Given the enormous weight of expectation, Dr. Dre's perfectionism, Detox never made it out in the world and has been in the making for over 20 years. The earliest version we know of the album Detox is referred to as the Chronic 3, the scrapped finale of the Chronic trilogy. This version was scrapped for unknown reason. But 5 years later, Dr. Dre supposedly resumed his work on it. Now known as the 2010 version, the hype behind the album was surreal. Being known for its insane collaborations, many of these big collaboration songs such as My Syllables and My Prescription leaked online, which ended up frustrating Dr. Dre to the point where he scrapped the project a second time. And after taking some time off, Dr. Dre started to roll out the album in 2011. This was probably the peak of the hype of this album. He actually released some music. I Need a Doctor with Eminem and Kush being a beautiful sequel to the next episode. And despite the commercial success of both of these songs, Dr. Dre felt like he had reached this point of fatigue with music, and he wanted to take a step back for a few years.
Because I've been working on music for 27 years now, and the longest I've ever been out of the studio in 27 years has been 2 weeks. Really? So yeah, I feel like I'm going to take a little bit of a break.
Dr. Dre had planned to release the track Under Pressure as its third single, but the track leaked online once again, causing Dr. Dre to scrap everything, and instead of working on Detox, he would eventually release his 2015 studio album, Compton. After the project being scrapped 3 times, Dr. Dre's Detox is seen as like an absolute myth. Especially considering Dr. Dre has now dropped a different body of work, there was very little hope from the fans that this album was ever going to come out. And it took a couple years after Compton for Dr. Dre to even come back to hip-hop in any meaningful way. Rumors circulated of a Dr. Dre remix of Kanye's Jesus is King, but no surprise, that never ended up coming to fruition. But then, when all hope was lost, once again, in January of 2021, producer Dem Joints posted a photo on Instagram hashtagging Detox. This was posted immediately after Dr. Dre got out of the hospital from his brain aneurysm, and although the album would end up not releasing in 2021, this was marked as the rollout of the 2020s version of Detox. And following this, the first actual music we got from Dr. Dre was a collection of 6 tracks titled The Contract, which were recorded and released for GTA 5, and following that was the Super Bowl halftime show in February of 2022. Massive moment for hip-hop, and there were plenty of rumors circulating that this would be a perfect time for Dr. Dre to announce the Detox. However, it never happened, and considering at that point we were already a year past the hashtag Detox21 and Dr. Dre's tendency of scrapping projects, all hope was yet again at a very low point. This was until Snoop Dogg accidentally posted a picture of a whiteboard behind him and Dr. Dre in the studio that showed a list of 12 tracks with the title Detox. This was a bit of a confirmation that Detox is still being worked on. Will we ever get Detox? Really, it's a good question that I don't have the best answer to. Probably the most anticipated album of all time, spanning 20 years, so many different iterations. I'm not going to say there's no chance we get Detox, but this could always be an instance of the hype being so grand and so big for the album that anything we could actually get is just simply could never be enough. Drake, it's never enough. Back in the early 2011, Drake was a young, eager, hungry artist on the edge of becoming an absolute icon. And while promising his follow-up album So Far Gone, he was also teasing an R&B leaning mixtape called It's Never Enough, full of leftover R&B tracks he didn't want to put on Take Care. Care. The first song he made for it was I Get Lonely Too, a cover of TLC's song Fan Mail. In October of 2010, it would be the only cover on the project, and then everything else would be original music. And some things were leaked, reference tracks from other artists, before going on the second leg of his Away From Home tour for Thank Me Later in 2010. He did an interview with MTV saying he's been working on Take Care and he wanted to keep the album balanced. At first he said there would be no more singles, but then he ended up announcing 2 more singles. And from there, the mixtape was slated for November, but then he pushed the tape back for Christmas and the singles never ended up dropping. He had merchandise on this tour that had the title and potentially could show hints of what the album cover and aesthetic of the album was supposed to be. And there have been several different fan-made track lists combined of leaks, but nothing official. There definitely would have been the songs like On My Way, Something, and Messages From You. This would be looked back at like a golden era of Drake, hungry young Drake on his come up. And there are many leaks from this era of Drake floating around on the internet. And Drake is no stranger to releasing old music. There's bound to at least be an interesting glimpse into the past available of It's Never Enough. Though it's probably most likely that we're just in a different era of Drake's career, and the odds that we're going to get something like this is very slim to none. But never say never. In the year following Mac Miller's death, rumors swirled about a collaboration with Madlib. The two had met while working on Freddie Gibbs' 2015 release. Mac messed around with some beats provided by Madlib. What resulted, though, was never a full album, but an unfinished EP. Madlib talked about it in 2019, claiming the collab was to create for creation's sake, and that there was no plans to release the EP. Every now and then, Madlib would drop a song with Mac Miller while performing live sets. The first of their collaboration would be recorded in late 2015 to 2017, and it's been scrapped since then, especially after the tragic passing of Mac. But in March of 2023, Madlib confirmed that he'd be finishing the long-awaited album in an interview on Sway in the Morning.
Right now, I'm finishing up the Mac Miller album, Planet Asia album, Erykah Badu album, different stuff.
Yeah. The Mac, is that the same from the project that was mentioned years ago after he passed that was never released?
Yes, sir.
So you finishing that project?
Yes, sir.
So the estate is down now?
Yeah, they're down.
Oh, man. We about to get...
Which makes sense because the project he released at that time, Liberation 2, featured Mac Miller on the song Right to Love Us. So there's still quite a bit of hope and anticipation for this project. MF Doom and Ghostface Killah's Swift and Changeable. Given the general mystique that is shrouded around MF Doom throughout his life, it's hard to pinpoint the legitimacy of the various lost projects. The Mad Villainy sequel, the Dilla Doom album, but one that seemed legit is his collaboration with Ghostface Killah, Swift and Changeable. The project dated back to 2006 when Doom was producing some tracks for Ghostface Killah's Fish Scale. Doom teased it here and there throughout the years, and it would be a follow-up to Victory Laps EP. One song released off the album Livelihood. Doom wanted to drop the album February 2015, but there was no real reason why it was never released. Unknown if it's even been finished. Like other projects, such as Mad Villainy with Madlib, Swift and Changeable remains one of those albums out in the ether somewhere. Perhaps on some level that's kind of fitting to Doom and everything that he stands for, and maybe it's better off just being lost in time. But of course, new Doom music would be absolutely incredible. Q-Tip, The Last Zulu. For almost 10 years, Q-Tip has been planning a new solo album called The Last Zulu. The album seemed to be on the horizon in 2012 when Tip signed to Good Music with plans to release it.
That, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing about Ye. You know what I'm saying? He respect me, I respect him. You know, we all know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm coming with that boom bap, unrelenting, lyrical, thoughtful, edgy, straight thought. You know, I'm just gonna put it all in compass. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really excited about it. It's called The Last Zulu. You know what I'm saying? And
along the way, he released other projects, including A Tribe Called Quest, We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service, but the Zulu never seemed to materialize, despite reoccurring promises that it's coming soon. One of these is in 2018, and then just the other year, Q-Tip posted a video for his 50th birthday, promising 3 albums, The Last Zulu, alongside other projects, and years later, we still are waiting. There are so many more lost albums in hip-hop, scrapped albums that people are anticipating anticipating there's more albums from these specific musicians. But I just thought that these were some significant and interesting stories of lost albums that y'all would enjoy. Let me know about any other lost albums that y'all have anticipated, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I fucking love every single one of y'all, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next video. Okay, deuces.
You know, Mork, I think you're beginning to grow.
Well, sir, I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be. So I'll catch you on the rebound, your magnitude. Until next week, Nanu, Nanu.